You're listening to Garibaldi Red, a Nottingham Forest podcast brought to you by Nottinghamshire Live. Hello and welcome to Garibaldi Red, Nottingham Forest podcast from Nottinghamshire Live. My name is Matt Davis, hosting as normal, and we're joined for a special episode by former Forest midfielder Jake Taylor, who spent quite a few years in the Forest Academy and was on the fringe of the first team before moving on to Port Vale. So we're going to have a chat with Jake about his career and what he's up to now. Jake, good evening. Thanks for joining us. Are you well?
Yeah, I'm well, thanks. Thanks for having me. Are you?
Yes, not too bad at all. Not too bad. So does it feel a bit weird to be a former Forest player now? Has that sunk in after a few weeks away at Vale?
It does, to be fair. It does seem a bit strange, spending the best part of 5.5 years at Forest. It's come the time where, cut ties, and it is a bit strange.
Let's talk about your kind of career chronologically then. People can tell by your accent that you're a Manchester lad. You were at United before Forest, is that right? Yeah,
as a schoolboy, yeah. So from the age of, you sign academy forms at 9 up until 16.
You must, even when you're like 9 or 10 or 11, you must kind of think that's it and you're going to make it, mustn't you? And even though you try not to, you must think you're the next Ronaldo or Rooney when you sign for United.
Yeah, especially, the likes of them players at the club at the time. At that age, you just sort of kind of enjoy it more, in terms of, there's not much pressure on you in terms of, that age, no contracts, no performing in front of, full packed stadiums and stuff like that. You kind of just, you're still a kid, you're just there to enjoy it sort of thing.
You from a football family or not?
I am. My dad's a big football man. My eldest brother is, and that's about it, to be honest with you, strangely enough. And the rest of them don't, as my brothers have got older, they have took a little bit of interest into football, but, not on the levels of, say, me and my dad.
Is it a United family, or were you City fans as kids?
No, United fans throughout the family.
So when you're there for, I think you said maybe 5 years or so, is it just like you training in the evening after schools and stuff like that, or does it get a bit more serious and you get nearer the under-18s training and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, especially towards 15, 16, you get a sense of the seriousness of it. We trained about 4 or 5 times a week in the evening times, and we'd have a game on the Saturday. And they had a program where they had day release as well, so you maybe skip an afternoon of school here and there to go and train with the youth team, it would be at the time. So it was quite full on towards the end of it.
What happened then? I guess they let you go. Was that must have been difficult as a 16-year-old when you say you're getting a sniff of how serious it is? Was that tough to take in as a kid at that age?
Yeah, it was. It was, especially being a fan of the club as well. It's it's like times 10. Your boyhood club, rejecting you sort of thing. But it was a good grounding. And it set me in good stead to go on to the next chapter, which is Forest.
At that point, you lean on your mum and dad to pick you up and get you going again and not give up on your dream.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. More so my dad. I think my mum was there just for general support. But I kind of picked myself up as well, because that's the only thing I ever knew. It was the only thing I ever knew I wanted to do. So it was kind of not just my mum and dad, but myself as well.
How did you end up at Forest then?
Through an agent I had at the time. He knew a scout that worked for Forest. I think the scout had come and watched me play a couple of times when I was in the under 16 age group at United, and just invited me down for a weekend trial. I was training on the Friday with, it was the youth team at the time, and then played on the Saturday, and then got offered a full-time scholarship on the after the game.
Do you have to move down there straight away from family, and then you're out on your own in the big wide world?
Yeah, basically, yeah. It hit me like a ton of bricks, to be honest with you, Matt. Leaving Manchester for my first time, moving into digs in Nottingham, But what made it easy was our age group at the time were, players coming from other clubs. I think our age group there was only two, Nottingham lads that had come through all the ranks from 9s to 16s. So at the time, our first year scholars, anyway, we, came from clubs from all over the country. So we was all in the same boat sort of thing. So that helped me out a lot.
So when you say digs, then is it a group of you living in a house who's putting you up? How does that work?
Yeah, basically they had I won't call them foster parents sort of thing, but there was a couple. There's a couple of couples that rotated the role. We were in a big house right next to the city ground that had been there for decades, really. I think they've only just recently shut it down. But it's like a two houses sort of thing, and one house on the opposite road as well. That literally first year, second year scholars, we all just stayed in there, and there were a couple that rotated 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off to look after us.
So are you about 16 at this age? You've left school by then, have you?
16, yeah.
So so you're training and then you're trying to, I don't know, you pass the time as a group of lads? How does that work?
Well, at that age, it was pretty full on. So we'd go in, say 8 o'clock in the morning as a scholar, not get home till about 5. And the training was so intense, coming from, obviously academy, schoolboy football to, the full-time program. It kind of took it out on us. So we'd get home at 5, straight in, have dinner, and then literally sit down for a couple of hours, and then it was bed, and then it was ready to go again. So it was quite a packed schedule. We didn't really have time to go out and see the city sort of thing.
What did you make of Forest when you first signed? Because you come from a huge club like United, although not in their full youth system. What were your first impressions of Forest?
And I'd heard of it because of obviously the tradition and history of the club. I think me coming into Forest was, I knew it was a big club. It was just, a change that obviously I needed. But it was nervous, to be honest with you, to begin with. Obviously a new set of lads. Obviously moving to another city. But no, I'd heard of the club, so I knew it was a big club that I was coming to.
Who's coaching you at that point? Are you working with Gary Brazile or Gareth Holmes, or is it someone different?
As a scholar, I was under Gareth Holmes and Jack Lester.
What did you make of them? I don't know either of them. I know Gareth a little bit. I've only interviewed Jack a couple of times, and they both seem good blokes. So what were your impressions of them?
Yeah, really good, really good. Obviously, they were tough on us in terms of intensity of training, standards. But no, I really enjoyed working under them too for 2 years. It was. And then obviously Jack left, and then Chris Cohen came in, and Jimmy Gilligan. These sort of coaches, they really helped us. Yeah.
One of the big things Forest go on about is trying to turn you into good footballers, but good people as well. Did you pick up on that when you were in amongst it day to day? Were they trying to mould you as men as well as footballers?
Yeah, definitely. That was a big aspect of the scholarship. It wasn't just about your football. We had obviously an education program to follow as well, and they set certain standards at that academy that you need to buy into, or otherwise you won't be there a long time. So they teach you not just the football side of it, but being a good person, like you talk about.
What's under 23s football like? Because people have this perception that it's all a bit tippy-tappy and nice, and the games I've covered, it's not quite like that. There is a competitive edge to it. It's not like full-on league football, but what was your experience of under 23s football?
I think it's changing all the time, to be honest with you. At Forest, the under 23 sides don't normally play like an under 23 side. Like you say, it's some people have the perception that it's tippy-tappy, not much defending, not much physicality. But Forest are really, really big on the physical side of the game, and they do, even at that level, it is about winning games. It's not acceptable to lose games. Everyone loses games, but it's the manner that you lose games. So, especially at Forest, like I say, it's changing all the time. Hopefully, it's getting better. But being in the Forest under 23 side, it's not your typical under 23s.
You won a lot of games as a team because you're not a Category 1 team. You were kind of dominating quite a lot of matches, as I recall. Did the point come where you felt like you needed to go out on loan and get senior football, or did Forest put you in that direction?
No. It came a time where the opportunity came up, and I wish I did it a year before. I actually went on my first loan, but it was something that the club obviously push you towards once you reach a certain level, because there's only so many academy games, under 23 games you can play, and it's not the real world you're going into. You need to go and experience it for yourself. You need big 6'5" centre backs in League Two, to knock you about and get a taste of real football sort of thing. So it was quite mutual. The club was very helpful in trying to get me on loan, and it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
You went out on loan to Port Vale last season then initially. What was it like walking into that dressing room then, talking about big experienced pros? How do they welcome a young fresh-faced kid?
They were really good. Obviously, most of the lads that I was with last year are still there, and they're really good lads. Obviously, it can be daunting, a first loan, wherever you go, because it's their lives on the line. It's, their livelihoods. Picking up 3 points on a Saturday, that's what it's all about. But lucky for me, the lads were great, the staff were great, and they helped me settle in pretty quick.
Who was your debut against? Do you remember?
Cambridge United at home. We won.
And were you nervous before that?
Yeah. I get nervous before most games, to be honest with you. So, but that was probably times 10. Knowing that you dream of being a kid to play professional football, and this was the time it was going to happen.
Did you have family down for it to actually see you play that first game?
I did, yeah. I had me dad, my granddad, my girlfriend, and me brother, I think I was.
It must be a proud moment. I mean, perhaps you envisioned your first game being at United or at Forest, but to play in League Two, I mean, not many people get to do that. It must be proud for you to have done that.
It is, yeah, because that's what you set out as a kid. Obviously, growing up a kid in Manchester, you want to play for Man United, but obviously, unfortunately, that weren't the case. But just to make it as to say you've played a senior game, it was a very proud moment, yeah.
And that loan spell, I mean, just tell people about that loan spell, because it went very well. There's quite a highlight reel of some of your goals. You get, 5, 6, 7 goals from midfield? It went very well, didn't it?
7, yeah. No, I loved it. I signed in, I think it was beginning of September, and it ended in the March, obviously due to the pandemic. But I loved every minute of it. Playing senior football in front of crowds for the first time, We had a big FA Cup tie at Man City, which was brilliant. And it was just, it was so different to, playing academy football. It was something I thrived off.
When you came back after that loan spell had gone so well, did you think maybe you had a sniff of getting a shot at Forest or not?
I did, yeah, I did. Probably for the first time, really, a proper chance of, trying to make an impression. But obviously the club went down a different route in terms of the recruitment, and it kind of shut the door for my, chances of, breaking through. So, but that's how things go.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, a lot of young players have come through. You're the same age as Matty Cash, I think, and a little bit younger than Joe Worrell and Ryan Yates. What does that give you encouragement to see that, or are you a bit jealous of them? I mean, what's it like when you're an under-23s player, seeing your mates get an opportunity?
No jealousy. It gives you, that incentive to see, if you do the right things, you work hard, you do get your rewards, and being in the academy for the best part of 5 years, that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to play for Forest's first team. The amount of work you put in to get an opportunity, and them lads did it. And lucky enough for them, they got the opportunity. But it's because what they've been through to get to that point. So you're more than happy for them.
You ended up going out on loan at the start of this season to Scunthorpe, stepping up to League One. Was that do you qualify that loan spell as a success or a disappointment? Because it was terminated early and Scunthorpe was struggling. How would you view that loan spell?
Frustrating for me personally. Obviously, different times it might have been a success, but it started off pretty well. I played the first 6, and then I got COVID. And then during COVID, the team started to pick up results, and I found it hard to get back in. But I have no, regrets there in terms of, I thought the people were great with me. I thought the, majority of the lads were really good with me as well. I know that's football sometimes. It just, some clubs it works out, some it doesn't.
Were you all right with COVID? Was it hit you bad or not?
No, I was okay. I think I was only ill for a couple of days, so it didn't hit me as bad as it has other people. So no, it was okay.
So you come back to Forest, then what was your thinking at that point? Do you think maybe it's time to move on permanently because you do end up going to Vale? Were you on board with that?
Yeah, definitely. I was on board with it as soon as I found out I could go on loan in the September time. I thought, going back that pre-season with the first team, I thought, sort of last chance saloon. And obviously it didn't work out. I was told I can go on loan. And, it was the right time to, explore a different path. And, football works out like that sometimes.
So you're back with Vale now, and I think I'm right in saying you had a couple of choices with Grimsby and Salford in for you as well. I mean, what made you choose Vale? Because Salford have got bags of money, and Grimsby have got a big stadium and a big club. So why go back to Vale?
Well, in their own right, Vale are a big club in that division. Obviously, my time there, my first spell there, was obviously a swaying point. It was no secret, my fondness for the football club. I knew the lads. Obviously, I had a great spell there my first time, so that kind of had a saying in it as well. And I just wanted to go and enjoy my football again. I wanted to go somewhere that I was wanted, and that I felt that I could develop. And Vale, I think, is the right place to do that.
Were you at all hesitant because they changed managers, didn't they? It was John Askey, now it's Danny Pugh, I guess and David Flitcroft's just come in as director of football. Did it cloud your thinking at all about the change of manager at Vale or not?
No, not really in my decision. Obviously, it wasn't ideal going into a football club without a manager. But I always had it in my mind that I was going to go back to Vale for the reasons I've just said. But no, in terms of the manager situation, it didn't really sway my decision or thinking.
How do you look back on that time with Forest then? 5 years is a long time to shape you as a player and a person. How do you view Nottingham Forest now?
They've helped me, make this next step. So I'll only have gratitude for the academy, for Gary Brazile and his staff for what they did for me, and obviously the other lads that are there now. I think without them, I wouldn't have been able to make this next step to go and forge a career for myself. So it's just unfortunate that I didn't get the opportunity to, break through as a Nottingham Forest first team player. But it's, sometimes football, you don't really get the fairy tale ending that you want.
Well, hopefully you do later in your career. Who were the biggest influences on you at Forest then? Who helped you the most?
Gareth Holmes. He was really good with me, not just as a footballer, but as a as a person as well. You know, a really nice fella, a really good coach as well. Obviously, Gary Brazile was really, really helpful in terms of helping me with my loans and helping the permanent move go through. You know, obviously the medical and the sports science, Brent Dickinson, with my physical work and my you know, adapting to the full-time program and getting me ready to, you know, be a league player. So you know, there's a lot to choose from, but probably them three probably stand out.
What can you tell fans about Gary Brazile? Because obviously they love him for the work he does at the academy. Is he a bit of a father figure down there who oversees everything?
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good. He wants the best for the football club. He wants best for his academy players because they're really, you know, they're what he's kind of built, sort of thing. That academy's, you know, up there with one of the best in the country, I'd say, in terms of producing player after player. And, you know, it's down to him and his staff. You know, you just see the likes of players that he's brought through, you know, before me and, you know, hopefully after me as well. But no, the fans have a right to, you know, have fondness for him.
Are there any players still at Forest, young lads like who haven't had a chance yet, who you think fans should be excited about? I suppose something like Tyrese Forner and people like that. Are there talented young lads that fans might not know about still?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot for them boys. It's just if there's an opportunity there. You know, as a player, you can do so much, but if you don't get the opportunity to play, then, you know, there's no point. But hopefully they get an opportunity under the new manager. And that's all you ask for as a young player, you know, that chance to show, you know, what you're capable of and that you can play at championship level. And hopefully they go on and do that.
Is that your one regret then? You talk about opportunities, maybe not an annoyance, but a disappointment that you didn't get that one shot to show what you can do at Forest?
Yeah, it is, but that's football. You know, you've put in 5.5 years of solid hard work into hopefully one day running out of the city ground as a Forest player. That's your, you know, your ultimate goal as an academy player, you know, at any club. But obviously, you know, that hard work set me in good stead to, you know, go and forge a career somewhere else. And it's just about opportunities as a young player. You can do, you know, if you do the right things and, you know, you work as hard as you can, all you're asking for is, you know, an opportunity at the end of it. And, you know, I've had to go elsewhere to get that.
I guess you must look at young players like George Grant's doing well at Lincoln. Ben Whiteman went from Mansfield to Doncaster to Preston. Does that give you kind of inspiration that you'll end up where you want to ultimately, whether it's at Vale in a few years up the leagues or you get a move and an opportunity yourself? Yeah,
that's the aim as a player. You want to play at the highest level you possibly can. You know, there's no ceiling, and, you know, if you work hard and, you know, you do the right things day in, day out, that's all you can, you know, you can hope for. But, you know, like the players you mentioned there, they've had to take a step back to hopefully take 2 steps forward, and, you know, whatever happens. Hopefully I can do that with Vale, and, you know, we push up the league and try and, you know, play at a higher level.
What's it like at Vale then at the moment in terms of not playing in front of a crowd? I guess money's tight everywhere across the leagues. Is it kind of a challenge to play in these behind closed doors games, or actually are you a bit used to it from under 23s games? Does that maybe give you a bit of an edge on a personal level?
In a way, yeah, I am used to it because obviously I've gone from under 9s to, you know, reserve team football with really no crowds in, but it's really tough. You know, I had an experience of it, you know, last season with crowds, and, you know, the difference they make, it's massive. And hopefully they can come back in when it's safe to do so, because, you know, I don't speak for, you know, for everyone, but, you know, that's what football's missing at the minute, and that's, you know, fans are really the heartbeat of the sport.
Do you appreciate it even more now? I mean, the buzz of celebrating with fans behind the goal when you score, I guess you never take it for granted, especially at your age. But when you do get to do that again, it's going to mean a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Especially with what's happened. You know, think that day they are able to walk through the gates will be, one that we're all looking forward to, and it'll be a great occasion whenever it is.
One player you're with at Vale at the moment is Will Swagg, who's come on loan from Forest. He's had a bit of a sniff of the first team himself. What can you tell people about Will as a player and a lad?
But yeah, Will as a lad, he's good. He's a great lad. I get on with him really well. To be fair, as a player, he's a mobile striker. Really, he can run the channels. Sharp he is as well in and outside the box. He's got an eye for goal. And hopefully the loan move to Vale will help him develop and get the games he needs to get the experience. Hopefully he can do well for us in terms of that, score some goals, and he can have a stronger say when he goes back in pre-season for a shout in the first team.
What difference do you think a loan spell will make to a young striker in particular? Will he learn a lot about getting booted up the arse by a centre half, and in terms of like movement and what you need to do to score goals at a professional level? Yeah,
that's it. That's why he's come. It's nothing can really mirror that first team football. It's only so many under 23s games you can play. I think that he'll really develop in front of playing first team football and getting games under his belt. It won't harm him, I'll tell you that. And hopefully his confidence will grow, going back to Forest with that amount of games and, under his belt, and he can, really have a good go at it come pre-season with, Forest's first team.
Are you still in touch with a lot of lads who you're with at Forest? You don't lose tabs with them straight away, do you?
No, I'm still in touch with lads that were released before me, or left before me, should I say. Social media these days, and phones and stuff. You're always in contact with people, but no, there's an handful I speak to on a regular basis. Yeah.
Who are your best mates at Forest?
My best mates, Virgil Gomez. Probably, I have a good relationship with Virg. Before that, it was Kieran Hayes. He left Forest a couple of years ago. I'm still in contact with him. Brennan Johnson, who's still there. He's still in close contact with him. There's a few, to be fair. There's a lot. There's a lot of lads.
Before I let you go then, because Brennan's doing so well, is he someone that you look at and think actually he's got a really good shot of making it, or is it a bit too early to tell still?
He's got everything you need. It's if you can get the opportunity at Forest, then I'm sure he'll take it, because he's like you say at Lincoln, he's doing really well, and I'm sure if he gets the opportunity, he'll flourish at Forest come in the coming years.
Well, Jake, it's been a real pleasure to speak to you for the last half an hour and kind of let people know what it's like as a young player making his way in the game. And I'm sure, a lot of Forest fans will know who you are, but hopefully they'll keep tabs on your career and maybe one day see you back in the Championship and maybe at Forest. I mean, would you go back to Forest if they ever came in for you?
Yeah, I would. Of course I would. Yeah, I've obviously got a big fondness for the club. They've shaped me into the player I am today. So, if the opportunity would come, yeah, definitely.
Well, Jake, it's been a great pleasure, and we certainly wish you well for the rest of the season with Vale and beyond. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back with another episode either on Monday or perhaps later this week. Jake, stay safe and look after yourself, and thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Garibaldi Red, a Nottingham Forest podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please let us know. We love hearing your feedback. We'll be back soon with another episode. Thanks for listening.